Hello, all. Welcome. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Welcome to Data Past, Present, and Yet to Come this December 11th. We're thrilled that you're here. It's so good to see so many familiar faces. Hello to our wonderful clients who have joined us today. It's good to see so many new faces too. We'll get started in just a minute. I am Amy Price. I'm on our product experience team here at IntelliBoard. I am joined by two of my fearless colleagues who are going to help monitor the chat and the question and answer. If we don't get to your question today, we'll certainly follow up with you via email after the webinar. So let's get started. Data past, present, yet to come. We are closing 2025 and we are about to get started with 2026. And we just want to place make in this very busy time of what opportunities we have with the data in our learning management systems. So thank you so much for joining us today. Best wishes as you wrap your semester. And again, we hope that you have strong takeaways from this, regardless of whether or not you have IntelliBoard. So let's get started. We don't want to say bah humbug to your data, right? We have a breadth of data at our institutions. It's categorized into past data, present data, and data yet to come. A little holiday spirit too, but there's a lot of it. We have final grades, we have IPEDS data, we have accreditation data, we have grants, we have data that is informing retention practices and strategic initiatives. There's so much there. And our past data is thorough. It's meticulous, it's finalized, it is proofed, it has committees working on it, and it is informing priorities and strategy. It's also taking care of our accreditation practices. It's tied up in Title IV money, Title II money, our enrollment, our budgets, our institutional dollars are tied up with this data too. And we fundamentally know that data is important. We need it to inform our decisions. That's our past data. We also have present data. It's what's currently in the LMS. It's currently what's happening at our institutions. It's grades, it's submissions, it's risk scores, it's time spent, it's access. It's nuanced, it's big, it's ever evolving. It's giving us a pulse of what is happening in our current day-to-day practices. But is it insightful always? Is it actionable always? Do we have that data in our hands when we're making these decisions? Sometimes, but there's a lot of it. And there's a lot of us at institutions who are living in different offices who need different data. How do we make sense of it? And this is kind of where the bah humbug comes in a little bit. So it's really hard to make sense of that present data. We don't exactly know the final data, the yet to come data, the future data, but it's where we're living, breathing now. And then we have the data that's yet to come. And honestly, if we're at an institution of higher education, that can sometimes look like the past data, right? We've got this figure 8 of a cycle of a semester that we're working in. So the data that's yet to come is final grades, IPEDS data, accreditation, grants, strategic initiatives. It's also our learner persistence and retention. It's our course outcomes. It's our program outcomes. And fundamentally, it's also the health of the institution with our enrollment revenue. And it's all working together to inform what's happening at our institutions. So here we are in Teleboard, and we sit in the middle. We sit in your present data, informed by past data, to make change on your future data. So we work with your LMS and your SIS, those existing technologies that don't always talk to one another. The SIS is often the system of truth, the past and where the present data is stored. The LMS is where that living, breathing present data is. But we work with those in tandem to surface critical in-term insights to drive quick and strategic action. And that sounds really fancy, but it really is about giving you a tool to utilize and impact change in the present. That's what we want to do. How do we support student persistence and course programmatic outcomes in the semester that you are to support that future data with quick and strategic action? But also, if you don't have IntelliBoard, that data is still inside the LMS. That data is still inside the SIS. And while we would love to talk to you, I also hope that this is helpful in positioning how we can impact future data, right, with the data that we have in term. So let's talk a little bit about the cost of ignoring what happens when we're not monitoring that learner metrics. This is what we know, right? We have disengaged learners for whatever reasons. They're humans, right? It may be that they're a first-time full-time student and they just don't know, right? We talk about that hidden curriculum. It may be that they have a life thing happening. We're all humans, right? But they're disengaged for whatever reason. And our job, and we want all of these students to persist for their lives, but also our institutions as well. There's missing oversight. It's not because we're not well-intentioned. We have early alerts and we're all working on retention. But when retention is everybody's responsibility, and it is, we need tools and strategies with specific outcomes and expectations to be able to make a difference. So we have potentially missing oversight, or maybe not as strategic as we can be, or maybe that data is out of term. I've asked for a report, but it's in the queue and it's lots of reports down. And now the report that I asked for 2 weeks ago is like 10 weeks into the semester, and what can I do with that? Or I've got an early alert on one student, but I don't have an early alert from those other courses. What's happening? I'm waiting for more information. But that means that the intervention, my strategic care, my strategic intervention, and my job as an academic advisor potentially is delayed. And then we have a missed retention opportunity. Oftentimes we at IntelliBoard, we're educator supporting educator. I was in higher ed for 10 years working with first year students. And it's like, oh, if I had only had this information a little sooner. I can't do anything with a final grade. I can't impact change when that grade is posted, that future grade is posted to an SIS. But I could make a difference when I have that information in term to be able to redirect that student to resources, to make a plan with that student, et cetera. So that we have a retention cost of ignoring, or maybe not even having access to that data in term. The same is true for course metrics and course outcomes. These become overarching compliance risks for our accreditation, for our outcomes of those courses. So if we don't have insight into that course compliance or that policy, whether it be learning outcomes for accreditation, be it for our grading policies, all of this is wrapped up together in our institutions. But the same is true, right? How many of us have sat in a seat and we don't know until the end of term how many students are projected to not pass that sequence course, right? Not that I speak from personal experience of trying to find adjuncts to teach a sequence course that I need to have repeaters in a course, right? That becomes a hard thing to predict without data. Potentially it's grading. Potentially it's that an instructor who are also humans had a life event come up. If we have that missing oversight, or we don't have that very specific thing that we're monitoring, it also is potentially delayed awareness, delayed action, and a compliance risk on the program side, the course side. So we have a student risk and a course risk, and both of these can be mitigated with the right actionable data. That's our present data, our interim data, what's happening right now. So I like to think about this as like a marathon, right? Like semesters at institutions, you all are running marathons. Accreditation is another marathon. Retention is another marathon. These are big things. These take time and thought and energy. If I was to say, I'm going to go run 26.2 miles in 6 months, if I showed up in 6 months, right, or 16 weeks or 3 months as the semester, and I just said, well, I'm showing up, right, I would not run that marathon well. I would need to make a plan. I would need to have benchmarks and plans. I would need to move my miles up. I would need to watch my time. I would need to watch how many times I'm working out on my training plan in order to be successful. And that's no different really than our institutions. We have to have those smart and attainable goals, those priorities and strategies of what we're identifying to monitor and leverage throughout the course of the semester or throughout my training plan to get to the end of the marathon in order to be successful. And without it, we run the risk of jeopardizing retention and compliance at our institutions. And that's nothing that any of us want to do. However, we're wearing multiple hats. So how do we make this easier? What's the model? What's the training plan? How can we efficiently and together make a plan for our interim data to impact positive change on that future data? Sit with me on our loop, on our race. We're starting at this yellow arrow right over here at the start of the semester, and we're going to go through the life cycle of the semester and how we then get to the blue arrow, the end of the semester. Hooray, the finish line, y'all are almost there. Final grades are almost there. But we start the first semester and the first of the semester with using that interim data in a very strategic way to support overall retention, course quality, and outcome. So we start at the beginning with simplifying semester readiness and an enrollment validation. This is our submission data. This is our census data, that first 10% of have students submitted. We're going to automate that. I remember sitting at, former institutions, and it would be the start of the semester, and we were working on, are all the students who are registered for classes back? Have they logged in? Have they accessed their courses? Do they have what they need? Similarly, are my courses ready? Are they enabled? Do we have instructors? Is the syllabus there? Are the enrollments what they expect us to do? It would take us sometimes weeks to get a handle on what the full picture was. And again, that was nobody's fault. That was multiple different people leveraging data all together. But what if we had a suite of reports to support the readiness of a course and support students accessing and having their first submissions? What if that was the priority? We identified that as the first priority, and we're all working on that together. Once we know that they're there, once we know that they've submitted, they've achieved all the financial aid, and they've checked that box, which also allows us to have those institutional dollars with aid too. We are moving into this orange arrow to automate those interim early alerts, those academic alerts. right? Early alerts programs are wonderful. I'm a huge believer in the quantitative and the qualitative. We have to be able to raise the hand to be like, hey, this student is really struggling with something that's completely unrelated to academics. That's an early alert. But the academic early alerts, they have not accessed a course. They have below a certain grade in a course. They have not submitted in X amount of days. All of that can be automated by a system. It can be calculated by a system. It can show up to you in an email. We don't need to wait on our colleagues who have multiple other hats and have multiple other responsibilities to raise the hand. We can let the LMS data inform some of those in-term academic alerts, right, by both courses and students, automatically, saving us time, getting a handle on where we are with those students, and making a very specific action plan, just like running a race. I'm going to run 3 times a week, right? And rest on Sundays. So I'm going to have an automatic plan of when I'm going to get that academic information into the hands of multiple people who can strategically take action early on in the semester. 3 weeks in, 6 weeks in, 9 weeks in, all of that can be done. Now, both of these, as we get to this red arrow, reduce administrative load for teams, right? As an instructor, I need to be teaching. I need to be teaching and I need to be grading and I need to be giving that early and often feedback. I'm bogged down by some of the submission requests and the early alert requests and all of these other things that are happening that can be automated and relieved from my load. As an academic advisor, man, if I get all of those alerts automatically and I'm informed, man, oh man, I have the data to be able to do what I need to do to be able to do my job, and I'm not chasing for information, right? We had and I know that this is still happening, and it's good. We all care so much about our students. We're making it work. We're doing paper trails and emails, and we're calling and we're walking to classes, but all of that can be simplified and save time and to reduce that administrative load when we're wearing multiple hats. Now, when we have that time back and that efficiency back, we move up here to creating more efficient outreach. We know who we need to work with. That's identified for us. We're no longer trying to figure out who needs support. We know who needs support, and we can align those students with the resources that we know that we have, and we can put more time and attention back into working with those students as an academic advisor. But also on the academic side of the house, that's when we give instructors back to do what they love, which is teach and provide that feedback and to provide that grading in a more frequent way, because there's time for it, right? It's not that all of us don't want to do what's best for our students. It's about the fact that there's 24 hours in a day. Right? And so how do we become more efficient to become then more intentional with the feedback that we're providing? All of this together, right? When we have the ability to be more strategic and make those interventions in term, that's what's aligning us to both sides, student support and course support, to proactive support and aligning with our institutional goals, mission, vision, and strategic plans, right? We all are working towards the same goals. We have the time and we're aligned, which then at the end of the semester is fundamentally improving course quality and retention for both students, but also the outcomes of those courses with regard to compliance. So if we look at this again, using the data in the life cycle of the semester, we're really tackling both sides of the academic system. with learners, individual learner support, but also making sure that we're empowering our course and programs for their compliance as well. So what can this data be, right? So if we have a model and we have a plan, what are the details? What are the specifics? At the beginning of the term, are we prepared? Are those courses ready? Are we able to identify those new and returning learners? Are they all there? Have we met those initial submission and attendance requirements, right? These are like check, 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 prepared, ready to go. We are able to dive into the heart of our semester after we check off these middle of the terms. In the middle of the term, do advising data teams have what they need? We've hired all these people to support these special cohorts of students with retention, but are we closing the loop and empowering them? Do they have the information they need in order to be most successful? And on the course side, are those course expectations and policies being met with regard to grading, with regard to regular and substantive education interactions? Are we working toward our planned learning outcomes? All of that can be monitored and supported inside the middle of the term. And then at the end of the term, were those expectations met? What are the final outcomes or grades? Where do we need to change or implement change for the next semester? But it's this awareness, this strategic continual action, having our hands on that data and aware of that data that supports making those changes in term, which changes fundamentally our outcomes of our future data and strategic initiatives. So we're going to look at this as three different folks at our institution and role-based frameworks. First, the academic advisor and an instructional designer or a program chair, right? Or a faculty member. All of that can live on the course side. But we know that a lot of folks are joining us from OLC and a lot of you are instructional designers. And then also thinking about academic leadership, the people who are, providing that support to both sides of the academic house, and making sure that everybody has what they need in order to be successful. So let's look at this, putting data in motion across campus, across the semester. Academic advisors responsible for tracking cohorts and special populations. True academic advising models, absolutely that. Also a first year mentor program, a athletic program, our dual enrollment students, our veteran students, special populations. We were thrilled to see one of our marching bands from one of our schools, one of our client schools in the Macy's Day Parade. Those marching band students are a special cohort of students where they have care and attention provided to them through a focus area. So all of that can be kind of absorbed in academic advisors, but they need to make real-time intervention. They need to know what students are struggling before it's too late so that they can provide empowered mentoring and support, making the right decisions, the right appreciative advising conversations, the right student support for these different students, no matter what group of students they're in. From an instructional design, determining the efficacy of course design. Are there those truly engaging activities with RSI, with that two-way engagement? Identifying courses that have potential high DFW rates for course redesign and or support, and to justify the tools that are being utilized and purchased for our courses. Are they being utilized? Are they being adopted? Do we need to support those tools in other ways with training and professional development for our faculty members? And then for academic leadership, having high-level insights to departments, their progress, grading performance, tying the at-risk students. So not only looking at, the course progress, but also looking at how learners and students in those courses are progressing and tying their progress to their tuition dollars to have a bigger picture of that enrollment planning. All of this can be done simultaneously with our interim data, with our current data, to achieve stronger outcomes at the end of the term. So let's talk about academic advisors. These are some of the things that academic advisors are able to do with data points. So which of my advisees are at risk? If I'm looking at a student, if I'm looking at a particular student, what's their current course average of all of their courses that they have an active enrollment in? That gives me a quick ability to identify who's the most at risk. Which of my advisees who have not submitted, again, that submission for that census and attendance in the first 10 days or in the last 10 days to maintain that aid and stay enrolled? Who are those who I need to kind of go work on? They may be in a course and they still may be on campus, but maybe they're not doing anything and I really need them to continue to do the work. What are my student athletes are at risk for eligibility? Again, rolling up their current grade to understand the outcome, their overarching outcome for those courses. And again, that engagement of where they stand compared to their peers in a course as well. All of these questions can be provided with LMS data to those advisors without another human having to kind of raise the flag to say, I'm worried about this particular student. We get to be much more proactive. So we have, for academic and learners, there's these concepts, but there's also data points that you can look at. Enrollments, a system login, course access, activity submission, right? Are they there? The middle of the term, we would want to look at their current grade, their activity trends. Are they submitting everything early? Where? Are they submitting everything late? How many missed assignments do they have, right? Where are they going into the courses every day, or are they just touching it on Sunday? All of that data can inform the conversation that I'm having with those students. At the end of term, what are the final assignments that they still need to submit? Or have they returned back to courses after Thanksgiving break? Are they maintaining that coursing engagement, and what's their current grade? How do we get that last push to finish the semester strong, and helping students decide, like, I could really make an impact in this course. I really maybe can't make much of an impact on this course, but I can change my fundamental end of GPA if I focus on this course. Those type of empowered support. And hopefully then the learner persists, which responds to our strategic plans and initiatives related to retention and student persistence. So let's jump to instructional designers. What can they be doing to support, again, this holistic model where everyone's aligned, everyone's working towards being efficient and effective with this data because it's available to them and they're utilizing it? Which courses are in compliance with our instructional design standards at the beginning of the semester? Does it have a syllabus? Is it active? Does it have an instructor enrolled? Does it have those two-way engagement assignments? Are the courses that we're supporting have better learning outcomes? Is our work making a difference in the outcomes and the persistence of those students? Which are my LTI services are making the most impact? What's being utilized the most? What are they clicking on? How many of those are in each of those courses? And how are my quizzes performing? All of these details can be monitored throughout the course of the semester to inform our best next steps. So interim data for instructional designers, again, syllabus checks, instructor engagement, the activities and the tools incorporated. Are they there, right? Are we ready to go? Middle of the term, what's being utilized? How's it going? Are we prepared and making the expectation? And then the end of term, again, what is the final activity and tool utilization? What's the final time spent? Where are my high GFW courses, and where do I work next to improve? And again, I'm working towards supporting course outcomes, which again supports student outcomes as well. And then for academic leadership, so this is kind of bridging both of them. I'm looking at learner progress, I'm looking at course outcomes, I'm looking at both of these and how they're interacting together. How are courses being taught in alignment with policies and accreditation standards, regular and substantive interaction? Are our online courses as rigorous as our face-to-face courses? Do faculty have the time to respond to student submissions and grade in a timely manner? What does this look like, and how can I support being aligned and working towards our collective goals? And so the interim data for academic leadership can look like, again, that course readiness, making sure that the learners that everybody has access, faculty and students, the learner submissions. In the middle of the semester, having an aggregate view of the at-risk students and their tuition dollars, the grading behaviors, RSI, and end of term, looking at those outcomes, looking at the activity and tool utilization, again, kind of a convergence of both the learner and the course, and to understand where we are to support, again, enrollment and program compliance, which is, again, the accreditation, the longer term marathons that we're all running. So our goal with this data, right, is to create interim data visibility to the right people. Not all people get all data. You get the data that is important to your role, your responsibility to be able to make the changes that are in your wheelhouse, right? Align those metrics to your goals, make the plan, identify what you're doing in term and those towards those programmatic goals, and then apply those role-based frameworks and empower to action. So academic advisors now have access, instructional designers now have access, department chairs now have access, and we're aligned together in our work to be informed with the data, to make impact on change, to improve those learning outcomes. And then this is just a framework for that we use, but also we hope that would be beneficial to you all in kind of providing a framework and an audit of where we are with utilizing our current data to inform that data yet to come. So first starts with an audit. Who's using what? Who has access to what interim data? How are they getting it? What are the data points that they have? How are they informing practices? It's one thing to have data. It's another thing to then do something with that data. What are the expectations, and that's currently happening when you get an early alert? What are the current practices when you have a course outcome policy? What's being done with it? And you have the data in a way that is to you at the right time and informed in the best way. Do you have access to that data? Once you have the audit of who's doing what, we start determining what metrics are the most important and how do these help learners? How do they help meet course goals? Then who needs it? What do they do with it? How will they use it? What are those expectations? And then from there, build the momentum. How can we automate these reports? How can we ensure that this data is informing standing meetings, agendas, our behavioral expectations, right, of while we're in the semester? It goes back to the marathon plan, making sure that I'm utilizing reports and data in timely and strategic ways, that there's a plan for that data and we're mapping the data to the plan to be able to monitor and impact change in this semester to be able to improve our learning outcomes at the end of the semester. We'd love to show you how we do that with IntelliBoard. You can visit us on YouTube for more information or book a demo. We'd love to answer any of your specific questions or show you how this could work at your institution and learn what you're doing. Again, I'm Amy Price, and you can reach me at amy@intelliboard.net. I am grateful for you being here today, and best wishes as you continue and wrap up your semesters.